Spider lilies are a common motif across macabre anime, the sight of which tells us that this show is probably going to kill our favorite characters in front of our eyes. However, what we mainly see is the red spider lily. Demon Slayer is no stranger to this flower, as the first ending song begins with a shot of these grim flowers that seem to be straight out of hell. But then, the story goes on to introduce us to the blue spider lily, which, unlike the red spider lily, doesn't exist outside the Demon Slayer universe. The flower proves to have special properties, as it can turn a human into a demon or help a demon conquer sunlight. However, the mangaka could have achieved this feat with any other flower. The reason why she consciously chose to make the fictional flower a variant of the spider lily is due to the symbolism that surrounds the red spider lily. Had it been a random fictional flower, the impact would not be as hard, but with the way the blue spider lily ties into the themes of Demon Slayer, its contrast against the symbolism associated with the red spider lily is what makes it so special. So, in this video, we'll discuss this flower in detail as we go over its role in the story, its perceived symbolism, and how it's different from the red spider lily. Before getting into the content, we'd like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to our channel, like, and comment on our videos. Press the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload new content. We'd be so grateful to you, and we hope to bring you the best nerdy content in the future. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. A rare and elusive flower. We can't talk about the themes that surround the blue spider lily without getting into some of the most well-known lore and mythology about the red spider lily. We see the red spider lily across East Asian art, literature, music videos, and of course Japanese animation, tying its existence to the likes of Demon Slayer and Tokyo Ghoul. The flower originates in East Asian countries, more specifically Japan, China, and Korea. Culturally, the lore of the flower is laced with heavy symbolism with respect to death and new beginnings. But to understand this better, we have to understand what the flower truly is. It blooms during the autumn equinox and, as such, appears during the Japanese Buddhist holiday known as Ohigan. This holiday revolves around honoring one's ancestors and self-reflection, tying the presence of the flower to themes of death and metamorphosis respectively, two things that are very prevalent in the story of Demon Slayer. The death part is self-explanatory, and the metamorphosis here could refer to transforming into a demon from human. There's definitely more to this, but we'll get to it later in the video. The red spider lily also appears in Tokyo Ghoul when protagonist Kaneki is tortured by Jason, after which the white carnations are shown to transform into red spider lilies, signifying Kaneki's evolution, or rather de-evolution from a half-human half-ghoul trying to cling to his humanity, to him accepting the ghoul in him. If you've read the manga, you'll know that Kaneki was never the same after his experience of the torture. Back to Ohigan, one visits the graves of their ancestors to pay respects to them and plants the red spider lilies on their graveyards. Meanwhile, the flower blooms from August to September, and its bloom lasts for a fairly short period, which is why it's also known as the Higanbana, or the flower of the autumn equinox. The flower also has a very strange growth pattern. The lily blooms before its leaves, which is unusual, giving the flower its characteristic look with its spidery flowers and a slender green stalk devoid of leaves. The flowers then shrivel up and die, causing the first death of the red spider lily. Eventually, life is brought back to the plant as the leaves begin to emerge on the stalk devoid of flowers. Once the leaves die, the red spider lily goes back to the soil after having experienced a second death. There exists a Chinese myth that explains this strange phenomenon. The Japanese sun goddess Amaterasu, who is the most important deity in Shintoism, has tasked two elves with guarding the red spider lilies. The elf Manju was assigned to guard the flower, while Sokka was asked to guard the leaves. However, they had to perform the task independently and were forbidden from meeting, although they were aware of each other's existence. This resulted in curiosity, as the two elves did want to meet even when the sun goddess had prevented them from doing so. Eventually, they met and fell in love. This angered Amaterasu, who cursed the elves with never being able to meet again, which is how the leaves that Sokka guards arrive only when the flower is absent, while the flower, which Manju guarded, blooms on a stalk that has no leaves. Manju's petals must die before Sokka can visit the flower, and Sokka's leaves must die before Manju can come back to the red spider lily, tying the flower thematically and symbolically to death and eternal separation. So why are eternal separation and death treated differently, considering that death is a kind of eternal separation as well? This is due to how Buddhism and, at large, Eastern religions work. Unlike Abrahamic religions that have the concept of eternal paradise or eternal suffering, Eastern religions tend to believe in reincarnation. Buddhism, in particular, having developed from Hinduism, follows the concept of reincarnating and being part of the circle of life until one attains nirvana or moksha, following which they cease to exist and can be absolved from all the suffering that comes from being alive across the realms. there are roughly 6 realms in Buddhism, and depending on one's karma or deeds, they can be reborn in their appropriate realm, with the worst of the worst ending up in Naraka or Hell. Characters in Demon Slayer often get to meet an ancestor in a spiritual state, with Tanjiro meeting the progenitor of sun breathing to learn how to perform all 12 forms without using excess movements. Demons, when killed, are often seen in a state of limbo, where they encounter people who were prominently present in their lives back when they were humans, before their bad karma in their demon lives led them to hell, and so on and so forth. Due to the red spider lily being tied to death, Japanese Buddhists often consider the flower to be the ones that grow in hell. In fact, it's a popular trend to see a red spider lily in an anime and immediately accept the fact that you're just going to see a lot of characters die left, right, and center. However, the flower is also believed to guide the dead from hell to their next reincarnation. With respect to the name Higanbana, Hi translates to the other, while Gan translates to the shore, referring to the other side of the Sanzu River, the banks of which boast the red spider lily, according to Japanese Buddhist mythology. The souls of the dead are meant to cross the river, with the good souls being able to do so and the bad ones being tossed from the river to the dragon-infested rapids. As such, the flowers are responsible for the arrival of the dead in the afterworld, which is not necessarily hell, but the place where their deeds are judged. Based on their karma, they are reincarnated into the next realm. Why this is relevant is because reincarnation is another theme that Demon Slayer is no stranger to, because the story does have something of an epilogue where we see most of the main cast and the Hashira reincarnating into the Meiji period, which is the timeline of modern-day Japan. In this case, the red spider lily did not create eternal separation, but a temporary one, with the Love Hashira and Serpent Hashira, who were unable to fulfill their love as demon slayers, getting married in their next life. But of course, the lore of the flower from hell doesn't end here. So let's go back to Ohigon, where the flowers are offered to the dead. These flowers grow around cemeteries, but are seldom found around tombstones because they are plucked to be used as offerings, but their growth around cemeteries is something humans have achieved. In ancient Japan, dead bodies were not put in their tombs or coffins before being buried. The body was simply buried in the ground, which caused disturbances when moles or other animals would scavenge or burrow, making reburial a common problem. To counter the issue and ensure that the graves remained untouched, red spider lilies were buried all over the bodies to keep animals away. The reason this worked was because the flower was always poisonous, making its existence a lot darker than it already is. Naturally, the association between the poisonous spider lily and death and corpses became inevitable, with the practice of growing the flowers across fields gaining popularity because it was a successful method of deterring animals. This also meant that it was the last flower you'd want to put in a bouquet. Several other superstitions grew as well, with many believing that bringing a red spider lily to your home would cause it to burn down. However, this was mostly done to scare kids so that they wouldn't pluck and accidentally touch the poisonous plant. It also acquired the reputation of drawing its red color from the blood of the dead. With that being said, let's talk about the blue spider lily, a flower that looks exactly like the red spider lily in shape and texture, but is blue in color, although it can look like a horsetail weed. The blue spider lily was used to turn Muzan from a dying human into an ageless demon, while it made Nezuko a demon who had managed to conquer the sun. In both cases, we see a type of metamorphosis and transformation. However, the transformation brought about by the blue spider lily guarantees evolution, at least physically, with Muzan conquering his hopeless illness and becoming the all-powerful Demon King, whose only weakness was the sun, with demons quickly disintegrating and dying under direct sunlight. Meanwhile, since Nezuko hailed from a family that passed down the art of sun breathing, and she consumed the blue spider lily soup as a child, she became the first demon in history who had managed to conquer the sun. While the red spider lily and its existence separated the two lovers due to the wrath of the sun goddess, the blue spider lily helped reunite the two siblings by giving Nezuko the ability to walk under the sun. However, transforming into a demon has more negative connotations than positive. While the demons themselves revel in their demonhood as they can regenerate, have bodies that do not age, and the privilege of nigh immortality, demonhood is also a great dishonor, with some of the greatest, most honorable characters referring to humans who accept demonhood as people who have fallen, such as when Yoriichi considered his twin Michikatsu to be pathetic after the latter had become Kokushibo. The likes of the Stone Hashira, Gyome Himejima, and the Flame Hashira, Kyojuro Rengoku, vehemently turned down the offer to become demons, as for them, it wasn't something to be proud of. In this way, the writer of Demon Slayer, Koyoharu Gotoge, uses the blue spider lily as an antithesis of the red spider lily. While the red spider lily along the banks of the Sanzu River offers salvation, allowing a soul to reach enlightenment or their next life, the blue spider lily brings damnation, as it is what had initially turned Muzan into a demon. Within the story, the blue spider lily also operates as the exact opposite of its red counterpart. While the red spider lily is poisonous, the blue spider lily is medicinal. It had been consumed by Muzan, with the flower being an ingredient in his medicine that healed his sickness. At the same time, Tanjiro and Nezuko had consumed the flower as it was used in food which their mother had prepared for them when they were sick. Like Nezuko, when Tanjiro was turned into the Demon King by Muzan, he became a demon who was not weak against the sun. Muzan's desperation, a cure or a curse. Muzan Kibutsuji was born during the Heian period of Japan, which ran from the year 794 to the year 1185. As the events of the story take place during the Taisho period, which started in 1912, it is believed by the Demon Slayers and the Ubu Yashiki family that Muzan has been alive for almost a millennia. Despite being a character who has notably defied death more so than anyone else in the universe, death was something Muzan had not been a stranger to since he was a fetus in his mother's womb. When his mother was pregnant, Muzan had a very frail body and constantly struggled to survive as a fetus. His heart stopped several times before he was even born, and by the time of his birth, he was declared to be stillborn as he had no breath or pulse. The body was taken to be cremated, but before the procedure could be completed, Muzan let out his first cries as he continued to cling to life. However, Muzan also continued to suffer from illnesses, with death knocking on his door even as a young human, which led to him becoming thanatophobic as he was extremely afraid of death. Muzan's diagnosis had led to him learning that he would die before the age of 20. He had a doctor create an experimental medicine for him, and Muzan was hopeful for it. However, the medicine seemed to have failed, and it even worsened the condition at first. Muzan was enraged by this and ended up killing the doctor. Soon after, realization hit him that the medicine actually did begin to work, and he had acquired a strong body, a body that had one-shotted the doctor. But Muzan also began to experience other desires, such as a need to eat human flesh for survival. His end goal was always to avoid death, so he didn't care that he had to kill humans and eat them. What did bother Muzan, however, was the fact that he couldn't go out into the sun, as sunlight burnt his body severely, and it could even kill him in less than a minute by reducing his body to ashes. Muzan hated the fact that he'd have to live his life with such a huge drawback, spending each and every day doing his best to avoid the sun. This led to him regretting having killed the doctor. Eventually, he began to study the contents of the medicine the doctor had used to treat him when he discovered that it was a rare flower called the blue spider lily that did the magic. Muzan was convinced that if he consumed the flower once again, he'd be able to conquer sunlight. Naturally, he would spend his nights traveling across the country as he searched for the flower before going back into hiding by sunrise. The issue was, he knew no one was aware of when and where the flower bloomed except the doctor whom he had killed. The transformation from human to demon allowed Muzan to not only have a strong body, but he could also regenerate lost limbs, manipulate his flesh, and heal almost instantly. The worst thing that came out of it was that Muzan could inject his blood into humans and turn them into demons. The more blood one got from Muzan, the stronger they became as demons. In fact, certain humans would die before attaining demonhood if the dose of blood was too high, which is why Muzan looked for strong humans like the demon slayer Michikatsu Sugikuni and the Soryu martial artist Akaza to turn them into powerful demons, as they were strong enough to resist a high dose of Muzan's blood. Like him, every demon acquired supernatural strength and regeneration and developed their unique abilities, which went on to be known as blood demon arts. However, they also craved human flesh for their survival and couldn't walk under the sun. The reason why Muzan began to create demons was to hasten the process of finding the blue spider lily. He was psychically connected to each demon as they were created from his blood, which allowed him to keep track of them at all times, operating like a mental GPS. The demons were tasked with searching the country to find the flower to hand it over to Muzan. In fact, Muzan was desperate to find the flower and acquire the ability to walk during the day. He hated how weak he was as a human, and after gaining a strong body, he continued to believe that he was imperfect. And although he could live forever if he wanted to, he would never truly be immortal if he had such a major weakness. This inability to walk under the sun also hurt his pride, because it was something humans much weaker than him could do with ease, but a demon as strong as Muzan would get incinerated within seconds if he stepped out before sunset. Needless to say, his obsession with immortality was a result of his thanatophobia. Eventually, after he failed to find the flower despite searching frantically for almost 1,000 years, he attacked the Komodo family during the Taisho period as they could perform Yoriichi's sun-breathing technique. Yoriichi was the only man who had ever been able to almost defeat Muzan and made him fear for his life. His purpose behind this was to inject blood into the Kamado family and create a demon who would conquer sunlight. He would then consume said demon and attain that ability for himself. Too bad most of them could not withstand a high dose of his blood, and everyone except Nezuko ended up dead. In fact, even Muzan thought Nezuko was dead as well, but she wasn't. After a little more than 2 years, she was able to conquer sunlight and achieve the one feat Muzan was so desperate for. Where does the spider lily bloom in the Demon Slayer world? There's a reason why Muzan was never able to find the blue spider lily. Not only did the flower only bloom 2 to 3 times a year, but it would only ever bloom in the sunlight, which made it practically impossible for Muzan or any other demon to find. In fact, it didn't even bloom every year, and it was an extremely elusive and difficult flower to acquire, even for humans. Meanwhile, the Kamado family occasionally had easy access to the flower when and if it did bloom, as the flower grew in the mountains and they lived in the mountains. Due to its medicinal properties, their mother, Kei Kamado, had infused it into food to nurse Tanjiro and Nezuko back to health when they were sick. It also bloomed in the spot where Yoruichi had buried his wife, Uda, behaving similarly to the red spider lily which grows near cemeteries. In the epilogue of the manga, we witness the descendants and reincarnations of the characters, where Inosuke's descendant, Aoba Hashibira, was a botanist who had discovered the blue spider lily and confirmed that it bloomed only twice or thrice a year when the sun was out. Why does Muzan not employ humans? Now, you might point out that had Muzan employed humans, he wouldn't have had to spend over 1,000 years looking for one particular flower. This is because a lot of it boils down to trust. Muzan can blindly trust the demons because he's created them with his own blood and made them in such a way that they are extremely loyal to him from the get-go. He also has a psychic connection with the demons, and he can track them at all times to be aware of their whereabouts. If they do try something against his plans, his blood and cells within them can take the demons out and kill them immediately. For Muzan, his demons are a fail-safe army that can be made to self-destruct the moment they betray him. One could also say that Muzan could hire humans and have demons supervise them. However, demons cannot be present under the sun, which is necessary to find the blue spider lilies, so either way, it's not a foolproof plan. Muzan also is unaware of the fact that the blue spider lily only blooms under the sun. He probably never expected it because he's too proud to be that intelligent. Without knowledge of the fact that it can't bloom in the absence of the sun, he would never consider employing humans because for them, humans are weak and pathetic. He's the strongest being in the Demon Slayer universe, and he considers himself to be imperfect, so according to his logic, humans are just downright useless and disgusting. Now, let's assume he does end up using humans. For starters, he can't give humans full context of why the flower is necessary. For a person to search for a simple flower across the entire country, they have to be handsomely paid, whereas with demons, they have an inbuilt feature to be blindly loyal to Muzan and will do his bidding for free. To make somebody do all that work for less money, you'd probably have to give them the full context. Humans can be kind of greedy, and the knowledge that the blue spider lily can make you an all-powerful being might lead to the human finding it and using it on themselves. Once they conquer the sun, the human will become stronger than Muzan. Most importantly, however, it's just the fact that Muzan does not know the conditions necessary for the flower to bloom and hopelessly keeps sending demons to do the job. Does Tanjiro know the location of the blue spider lily? The blue spider lily grew near the Kamado household, so of course Tanjiro knew of its location, as there was even a panel of him playing with the flower. Considering they lived in the mountains, it's possible that the flower only grew in cold climates, so even with the sun being out, it would not grow in the middle of the city. This aforementioned panel is present during the Mount Natagumo arc, where Tanjiro fought the lower-ranked demon Rui. With the odds stacked against him during the battle, Tanjiro's entire life flashed before his eyes, and one of the many memories he revisited had him playing with the blue spider lily, which looked like a horsetail of weed. However, Tanjiro never knew about the flower being responsible for turning Muzan into a demon, or for being able to help Nezuko nullify her weakness to the sun. He might have found out later, but this revelation did not take place for him in the story. However, he was probably aware of the fact that the blue spider lily had medicinal properties. Marvelous verdict! Due to the circumstances under which the blue spider lily bloomed, Muzan's search for the flower was a lost battle from day one. But what makes this flower so special is how it symbolically is similar and different to the red spider lily, at times saving one from death instead of leading them to it, and at other times making them extremely weak to the wrath of Amaterasu. With that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think about this little dip into the symbology of Demon Slayer? Let us know your thoughts and theories about the blue spider lily below in the comments, and until next time, have a wonderful day.